let's get into the main topic, which is tariffs again. But we want to unpack how the manufacturers have responded to the tariffs so far. The caveat, of course, being all of this.
It could change 5 minutes from now.
Exactly.
Whew.
Heck, by the time that this episode airs, this will probably be irrelevant. Not irrelevant, but a different word I'm looking for.
Ethan, I hope you got your editing fingies ready, because we're going to need a bunch of caveats and like splash screen things and whatever. Like, well, this was accurate as a recording, and then
We'll just have Doug film another disclaimer.
Yeah, was that effective? Did that work?
Some guy had a funny comment about it, but yeah.
Nobody was like, you're an idiot.
Nope, it worked. It was good. Context is key, folks.
How about we do one of those for every episode?
We have one at the end.
Oh.
Basically, we're idiots. So to start off with, manufacturers responded, but how has the stock market responded? Woo! Massive swings. Mostly down, although today, the day we're filming, it went down 1,000 points or 1,500, then came back up and then closed down just a tiny bit. But overall, it's down quite a bit. Although the initial dip was not as a result of the tariffs being announced. It was when China announced the reciprocal tariff that they were implementing on U.S. goods, because investors reportedly were fearing a trade war. And I guess Trump said that he's now going to reciprocate with more tariffs to China again. So maybe their fear was not unfounded.
Look, I don't think this is a political stance to say the stock market is just a vibe check. I think the vibes are a bit chaotic. Vibes ain't positive. So, number go down.
Yes. I will get into politics briefly here, though. Briefly.
It ain't on me.
Since we're talking about the Chinese tariffs, okay? China allegedly uses slave labor or vastly underpaid people. I don't think anyone's going to argue that. And they pollute like crazy. Not much regulation going on there. Not going to get into scientific stuff, but it's been alleged that a lot of the pollution in our air is from China because it's getting blown over this way.
Oh,
so it doesn't matter what we do unless China regulates what they're doing. Anyway, if the people in a certain political group who are solidly against Trump's tariffs, I'm not saying I'm for them. It's really, honestly, it's too soon to tell, right? We don't know how they're going to shake out because this is a complex issue and it's going to take time to see the long-term effects of them. And I kind of take issue with people who are just jumping to conclusions because this is a longer-term play of some sort. Whether it's a good play or bad play, we don't know, but it is a long-term play.
Doug, all I know is that I can't pre-order my Nintendo Switch 2 when I'm supposed to, and I cannot stand for this.
I'm so sorry. This is SwitchCast, but that's the wrong switch. If the people against Trump's tariffs are also against the concept of McDonald's not paying a living wage and are also in favor of EVs to supposedly reduce climate change, which I think is a reasonable connection that those three stances go together, shouldn't these tariffs be a welcome change because we're essentially hurting China? So in theory, by these tariffs happening, we're bringing manufacturing to the USA where we pay a reasonable wage, especially in manufacturing, because a lot of manufacturing has unions. And we have strict environmental regulation here. Some would say not strict enough, but compared to China. So shouldn't all the people who hold those views also be super pro the tariffs? It accomplishes their goals indirectly. Maybe.
I don't know.
I'd say it doesn't count if it hits their pocketbook too much. It hurts their pocketbook, right? Everyone wants shade-grown, fair trade organic eggs until they're $10 a dozen.
Eggs ain't even that good. Anyway.
Well, I don't like eggs at all, so I don't even know. But I remember seeing $12 a dozen eggs, organic eggs, when I was in Colorado a couple weeks ago.
That's wild.
Yes, it is wild.
I'll take just normal eggs, thank you. For like, what is it, $6 a dozen now? I don't know.
But they have hormones.
Yeah, and hopefully not bird flu. Like,
I don't think we import eggs from China, so.
no, the bird. Anyway, cars, Doug. We're here to talk about cars.
If they did, they'd be in a shell company to avoid the tariffs. That was a pretty good yoke, huh? Okay, first, I think I spoke in error last week. I reversed the 10% and 15% for Ferrari. Ferrari's increasing prices 10% and absorbing the other 15%. So if I got that wrong, I'm sorry. But what else
props
is
to
going
Ferrari for that. Given all the chaos, that's pretty upstanding brand.
Unless the tariffs don't last long, and then they're going to keep the price increase.
What I think is interesting about a lot of what we're about to talk about is the different approaches I think manufacturers are taking related to that. Related to the, is it going to stick or not?
Sure.
Let's wait. Let's put a pause.
Right. And a couple companies doing that. We're going to go in reverse order here. Honda is doing nothing.
I think Toyota is also doing nothing. I don't think Toyota's even offering a statement right now. They're just saying like, Beep.
Nothing. Wait and see. Honda also has the advantage that they have more vehicles made in the USA than GM or Stellantis. Over 50% of their U.S. sold vehicles are made here. But on the other side of the spectrum, Mazda hasn't done anything either.
Yeah.
And they import 80% of their products, which is second only to Volvo.
I love Volvo.
So I think both of them are taking a we'll see what happens approach.
Yeah, I don't think I've heard anything from Volvo. Are they essentially just kind of saying, we'll wait, do we know?
Good question.
Find this out and do it live.
Jaguar has halted shipping vehicles to the USA, which was anyone buying them anyway?
I was saying, did they do that this is just a convenient excuse for them, honestly.
Right. Our days in stock number of the dealers is way too high, although Land Rover sells quite well, and Jaguar Land Rover is the same company. So that corporate conglomerate they're not the corporate conglomerate that Tata Motors is, but they've halted shipping vehicles. Audi has also halted shipping vehicles, and they've stopped cars from being imported that are sitting at the port. So they're going to pay storage fees, likely in a bet that this tariff will not be permanent. Mercedes is likely halting their A-Class and GLA class, which in my opinion might be their best marketing move ever. I mean, no disrespect to those who own these vehicles, although it seems like nobody owns them. They're probably all leased, but they're like the luxury version of the Altima. Mercedes is a good luxury brand. And then they have these base models that just like, nah.
It's like, what do you...
Can you do the opposite of what Hyundai did with the Genesis and make a different brand? When I drive my E-Class, I don't want to be associated with these plebeians. And then they put the AMG badge on everything, too.
Everything. You sneeze over at the factory and you get an AMG, just throw an AMG badge on something. Whew.
Ford and Stellantis are offering employee pricing. What? Although
sorry, that was a really bad Hank. We need to get Hank in here. Employee pricing.
GM is not, although they were the big ones to do it, 15 years ago?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, destroyed the used car market and the new car market as soon as they ended that. Chrysler's halting production of their minivan and their other minivan.
So hold on a second. I learned something about this whole thing. This has been an educational time for me. I didn't realize they sold two minivans, but they don't actually. They're the exact same, but the Voyager is like the lower two trim levels of the Pacifica. So they just broke the trim levels apart and make the same car just slightly differently.
Interesting.
So they're trying to pad their lineup.
The Voyager and the Pacifica, and they're pretty much the same.
Yeah, it's all
in Maine. They make the Voyager and the Pacifica.
It's Pacifica all the way down.
It's disappointing that Chrysler just makes two minivans. Remember when they had the was it the ME16-4 concept and the Atlantic concept? They had some pretty cool stuff in the 90s.
But I'm pretty sure that's the same time they were selling just rebadged Dodges, other than the Prowler and stuff, right? They were...
That
What was
was
the
a Plymouth that
Neon?
became a Chrysler. It was a Plymouth
that's
Prowler,
true.
then a Chrysler Prowler.
I'm conflating all the different brands they used to have, but I think Chrysler just needs to go away at this point. They've
Some would argue Stellantis does too. Ford's A plan supposedly is basically just around invoice, which, according to the dealers that sell them, that's what every buyer with pressed jeans and tucked in shirt is already negotiated anyway. Can't say New Balance because they were at the GM store, but same buyer demographic. Like the Ford's A plan is essentially a marketing ploy, in my opinion.
Well, it's like it's a bad secret or whatever that saying is. Like everybody knows about it, so they're going to go in asking for it, and I guess do people do that at GM dealers? I don't know who's rocking in to go get a Corvette at employee pricing.
I think it makes it easier for them to sell cars because it's this fixed pricing. There's no negotiation. It's just A plan for everyone.
Well, yeah.
But then there's multiple employee discounts too. So I think the A plan is the friends and family, which isn't as good a discount as like the real employee pricing, which is what people to work at the factory get. I think the Z plan. So again, it's a marketing thing. And if they raise their prices at all and then offer A plan, it's like furniture store. We're having a liquidation sale, but
everything is on sale all the time.
Or we raised our prices in anticipation of the sale.
Or it's when you go into Kohl's.
Aaron, is that true? Hyundai and Genesis haven't changed anything other than getting rid of their quality assurance program. There's a office Easter egg for you.
Okay.
That's Creed's job.
Yes.
Which is free scheduled maintenance. They said no price increases for now, but also the caveat was eventually they will have to pass on costs to consumers.
What I think is interesting is I read something, I think it was related to Kia. Is Kia part of Hyundai Motor Group? Are they related?
No.
No? Okay, so either way, Hyundai Motor Group is...
Not to my knowledge. I think they're competitors. They're both
I must
South
have
Korean.
Copied the wrong quote. But either way, Hyundai Motor Group, this is from a Car and Driver article that is constantly updating to kind of summarize this stuff and the current state of things.
Unlike our podcast.
Yeah. So they're expanding U.S. production to 1.2 million vehicles across Alabama, Georgia, and the new Meta plant in Savannah. The majority of their U.S. sales are locally built. And the Hyundai Motor Group and its subsidiaries employ more than 570,000 people in America. So at this point, are Hyundais just American cars? Don't tell Hank, but I think they might be.
Well, don't tell Hank this either. So and this is going to impact things a lot. The parts tariff, once it takes effect in May, that's going to be the real bugger. Because I looked at a late model Cadillac CT4V today, something right up Hank's alley. And the engine is made in Austria. 46% of the parts are U.S./Canadian. That means 54% are not. And if you break down U.S.-Canadian, like who knows? Because the Canadian parts are subject to tariff as well. So even the American cars are going to be subject to price pressure as a result of these tariffs. I think the end goal is what you said, Hyundai Motor Group producing cars and then producing more cars in the U.S.
I did look it up. Volvo also is planning to increase U.S. production.
Okay.
I said the answer is that we need to make more cars where we sell those cars, just in general. So
hopefully they increase U.S. sales also.
I was so sad to hear the V60. Some version of the V60 went away. I think V90's gone too. R.I.P. wagons.
So the real truth about all of this is that the outcome that is going to happen is really determined by your political beliefs. So if you're a Republican, this is the greatest chess move in history, and this is just an opening offer in ongoing negotiations, and it is going to bring back manufacturing, and the world's going to be amazing. If you're a Democrat, then orange face has just destroyed the economy. There is no possible in between. So whatever side you're on, you're right, and you know what's going to happen. We're just here, might as well be talking into the wall because we have a middle of the road opinion trying to actually look at facts.
Yeah, we try until those facts get out of date. tomorrow. Good luck, Ethan.
Genuinely, I believe, and a lot of the manufacturers, if you look through what they're doing, it seems that most of them are taking a wait and see stance, as we've kind of already talked about, is let's see how this shakes out. Unlike investors at the stock market who are freaking out, going, oh my gosh, this is the end. So, we shall wait and see. Let's move on to the sub-segment, things you shouldn't ask on the internet.
I like your game show host kind of intro to that. That's pretty good. We need a clip.
I feel like this should be a new game show.
Love it.
Okay, I think this is Reddit. Instagram. Look, it says right there.
Yeah,
Instagram.
Well, no, Instagram's either way. It's somewhere.
Sure. Somebody says, I just bought a 2016 Land Rover for $16,000. 2 days later, it's in the shop with every code lit up.
All right,
this dealership was referred by car gurus. They will do nothing, meaning the dealership. Do you think car gurus would do anything? My dream car equals lemon.
First of all, I am not in the business of attacking anybody's dream car, but a Land Rover is an interesting choice.
A 10-year-old Land Rover.
Yeah, like, woo-wee. If that's what you're dreaming about, maybe need to talk about something.
I think her dream turned into a nightmare.
I think so. My God. I'm not sure I'd want a $16,000 10-year-old Land Rover.
Yes, but you also should not ask the internet anything about this. The comments did not disappoint. A lot of people who knew nothing about Land Rovers or, for that matter, automotive purchasing law, which is who you should ask as a lawyer. Hey, can I go after car gurus for this? No, you can't. They're an advertising company. They didn't refer you to the dealership. And even if they did,
you still signed the paperwork.
Yes. You bought the car from the dealership. And if they'll do nothing, well, go after them if an attorney says you can. But stop asking people on the internet. Better advice would have been to ask beforehand, should I buy a 2016 Land Rover for $16,000? Because the resounding answer would be
no.
There you go.
Nuts for Sticks is a brand celebrating the manual transmission in all its forms. So forget those flappy paddles because we like shifting ourselves. Check out our fun and funny stick-themed shirts at nutsforsticks.com and save 10% on your order using the discount code SwitchCast. That's nutsforsticks.com and use code SwitchCast.
Thank you for joining us for SwitchCast with Doug Tabbutt and Tyler Sanders, produced by Ethan Huffnagel. SwitchCast is an automotive entertainment and opinion show, and nothing we say should be taken very seriously. We do not give tax, investment, legal, emotional, or professional advice, and the only licenses we hold are driver's licenses. The opinions expressed on this show are exclusively held by the people pontificating at that moment and do not reflect the values of our producers or sponsors. Our theme music is provided by Emily and Ivory. You can stream their full album on Spotify or SoundCloud. If you like this show, you can stream it in its entirety on your favorite audio podcast platform. Check out switchcast.live for more info.